This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody, and let's try to scoot through this at a reasonable time frame tonight. Number one, our minutes. I think we can do the minutes for the 6th, 6th, and 13th together. You've got them all in front of you, and I'm sure you've read them. If there's anything there that you have a discrepancy with, you can bring it up now. Other than that, I would ask somebody make a motion that we accept these minutes for those three as presented. And Councillor Gardner, seconder, please. Councillor Cowan, any discussion on those three stacks of minutes? Hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The adoption of the agenda tonight. Again, you've had a moment or two to have a look at it. Are we missing anything, or is there anything that you think should be on there? And I will get somebody to make a motion to accept this as presented as well.
I'll make that motion, Marie.
Okay, Councillor Williams, seconder, Councillor Wright. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, the RCMP report, as I said before, and as Rhonda said, we will fit Scott in when he comes in, and we will move along to number 4, which is finance. And we will do both those together. So if you want to go through them for a quick minute and see if there's anything in there that will affect you. And if there's nothing there that is going to affect you, then I will ask for a motion to accept the bills for both departments to be paid as presented, please. Councillor Cowan, a seconder. Who am I missing?
Oh.
Councillor Penner, thank you very much. Call for the question. All those in favor?
Is there any questions?
Any questions?
And anybody opposed?
Did anybody have any questions, Marie? Or
Oh, sorry, Councillor Penner. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I have a question on 2021-0650. Was that the truck we just approved in the last week or two?
Yes.
I just see it's gone from 18.9 to 22.2, and I'm thinking that most of that's probably the taxes, but there's still about 1,000 missing. I'm just curious, what's the difference?
there will be taxes and I think there had to be seat covers put on it and a couple of other, something with the tailgate had to be done. But I could just, do you want me to thought I had my finance. Can I just stop the record for a second?
Sure.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I will just pull out. Yeah, it was 18.9, 600 for accessories. So that was probably seat covers, floor mats. Come to 19.5, document fees, another 399. And then with PST and GST, it come to the 22,286. So basically the accessories and the document fee was that extra $1,000.
And we'll get our PST back on that.
We get our GST back, yes.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
get almost 1,000, it's 994.95, which we get back, so the whole amount.
So I'm sure that it was probably justified and everything. I'm just curious, what's our policy on those additional items? Is that something that should have been included in the price, or what's the background on those kinds of things?
I think usually because we put 25 in the budget.
Yeah, so there's still gonna be like they're gonna have to put a headache rack on it and put a radio in it. And that's all outside of the truck purchase price. That's all stuff we do on our own, right?
Okay,
To make this truck serviceable. That's why the 25 in the budget for it.
We went 25 so that we had money for,
Well, we originally had 35 when we first talking about it, but then when I knew, I dropped it by 10 because we didn't need it.
right. So basically, it's usually up to the policy, as long as we're under what we had in budget for the extras, we kind of know those are part of.
Yeah, we purchase a truck and then put the things on it.
That we-
I mean, if it's a brand new truck, that would all be included in the purchase price, except for that you'd still probably have a headache rack and our radios, our signage, you know, our decals, that would all be town. That would be beyond the purchase price. Unless you wanted to order a brand new one with a headache rack and a light and that kind of thing too, right? Unfortunately, our town trucks, there's, you know, it's just not a truck. It has to have all the safety equipment put on it as well for the fire extinguishers and the lights.
Just so everybody knows, Councillor Cowan is having internet kind of issues. She doesn't have enough for her picture, so she's there, but she had to shut her camera off to keep things going, so she's still in there.
Okay, any other questions regarding the accounts payable? And I believe we have a motion, do we not, Rhonda?
Yes, yeah, and you had actually voted, but yeah,
Okay, so we don't have to do that over again, and I believe everybody was in favor, so it will be a 7-0 on that one. So that covers that department. And we'll move along to number 5 on your list, which is recommendations from Planning and Finance. And Councillor Williams, I will turn that over to you.
Right, let me just get in here. Okay, I would make the motion that council enter into the tax agreements as outlined by CFO Maxim Chuck in our planning and finance meeting.
Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Cowan, thank you. Any
sorry.
discussion, any questions on this matter?
May I amend that resolution? Can you open the attachment?
Is it in the attachment?
Yeah, that's the correct resolution.
Oh, okay, I kind of wondered, I thought it was a little, okay, there's 2 parts I just need to add, so
So Can she just withdraw her resolution?
I'm gonna withdraw my resolution and I'm gonna give an amended one because I do have the numbers. So I'd like to make the motion that the town enter into an agreement for the payment of, enter into agreements for the payment of delinquent taxes for the owners of the listed properties. I don't need to list all those. And then we'll list those in the motion. So that's my motion.
Okay, and Councillor Cowan, are you okay with that? Okay, good, she is. Okay, any more discussion on that? Everybody understands what we're doing?
Sorry, I only opened the first.
Councillor Fenner?
so just one question. Is this all of the items that were at issue, or are there any to add on here at some point, or are we done with that?
There could possibly be some that come along later.
This is all we know of for now, though.
This is all we know of at the time being, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
And sorry, that was Williams and Cowan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're all okay with this, then I can call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so that covers 5 and 5.1. We will move along to number 6, AMM, and 6.1 and 6.2. Thank you, Councilor Williams, for looking after the finance. And Rhonda, I will turn number 6 over to you, please.
Okay, the first item is an email from AMM regarding the provincial budget. And they just wanted to draw to all the council's attention some of the things that the province have been doing. And with one of the things is that due to their advocacy efforts, province of Manitoba will once again provide the 75% of operating grants to us up front by June 30th, with the remaining 25% to follow in the fall. And that's for our unconditional grants that you'll see in our budget. Used to be our VLT grant, but then our policing grant, it comes separately from a different, this is from municipal relations, it comes through justice now. It also speaks to 40 million through the Restart program, but that's money that's coming through the Water Services Board mostly. And that's, if you've noticed, the arm of Wallace Woodworth, I believe, for their lagoon in Elkhorn. I believe that's where some of that money is coming from. And the 10,000 that each community already received for their handy van grants. Those were some of the things that were spoken about. And it does go on. And of course, you are all able to obviously go through that on your own. It does speak to the Building Sustainable Communities Fund. Green Team grants will be doubled again. So we're hoping to see some of that because we have applied for at least 5 positions, I believe. 700,000 of new funding for public library services. 6 million for flood mitigation. And then they speak to the 50% education property tax rebate over 2 years of 25% per year. So that's all there for you guys to go through when you're able to.
Okay, great. Thank you. And 6.2, I'll let you handle that one, and 6.3 and 6.4. We'll just keep busy.
Well, 6.3, I'm going to leave that to Development Officer Nixon when he comes back.
Okay, great.
The education tax rebate. I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to read up on this, but of course the province is planning to phase out the education tax. And so for this year, what they've decided to do is they're reducing the education tax credit on the tax bills to $500 from the 700, I should say. And they are now giving a rebate to people. They're actually physically writing checks to all property owners. And for residential and farm, it will be 25% of the gross education property taxes. And for all other, which is commercial, example, there will be a rebate for 10% of the gross educational property taxes going out to all of those people. They're going to mail these rebate checks to property owners in the month that property tax liabilities are due. So for us, that would be in October. But no rebates are going to be given in respect to grants in lieu of education. So that's basically taxes paid by the province or by federal. So where we as administrators, and it's been brought up by other councils in the province and actually by our association, and if any of you had the opportunity to read the letter that was sent in from the president of our Manitoba Municipal Administrators Association, we do have a concern of actual checks being sent out in a year when and first of all, reducing red tape. This is not reducing red tape. We will have checks going out to people who are in tax sale rather than that money being applied directly to their property tax bill. So, the municipalities won't be getting that money, and yet we'll still be having to submit those school tax dollars to Fort LaBosse. That's just, one of the examples. The money that's being sent, what happens is whoever's name was on the tax roll at the time that the tax bills were printed, that's who's going to get the check. If you have a multiple owners, the first name that shows up on the tax roll, that's who gets the check. So guess who's going to be getting the brunt of that? It will be us in the office. They'll be coming in and saying, especially families or businesses who maybe don't get along, we're going to be facing that. But the problem is that these checks are going to be going to people who no longer own the property either. So that's something that the lawyers are going to have to calculate into when they're figuring out what taxes are owing by each property owner. They're going to have to go, okay, who's liable to get that 25% check? So, with it has come a lot of matters. It's going to cause a lot of confusion. It's going to cause upset to people, and it's actually harming our cash flow as well. So that's why the letter has gone. There have been, like I said, we're hoping, or we're asking if council would like a letter to be sent in on behalf of the town of Verdon, reiterating some of these concerns that President Neudorf had put forward and what we're hearing in our other sessions with other municipal partners.
Interesting.
Confusing.
Okay,
It doesn't make sense.
it sounds like a lot more work.
Would you guys like a letter drafted up, or?
I'd be for us drafting up a letter about our concerns on the confusion and the extra work this is going to cause.
Well, the cash flow is
Yeah.
like I said, people who are in tax sale are going to be getting money and perhaps not applying it to their taxes, for which they're actually getting the rebate for.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we should draft up a letter and make sure we send it in with our concerns. Because unless something comes along that's going to change a few of these things that you've mentioned, it's going to be a bit of a disaster, I feel.
I'll make a motion that we do up that letter then.
Can I get a seconder for that, please? Councillor Cowan, any more discussion amongst the council? Seeing none, Councillor Penner?
So what's the letter actually going to say? Like, do we get the wording on that, or are we just complaining about the process, or is there specific things that we want to see different?
Well, I would suggest that we would want it to be worded basically that it would be more effective to have that rebate applied directly to the outstanding or to the actual property tax bill. And that will,
To the RM then, like it,
yes, to the
we suggested
town
you
to
just-
apply.
they should just issue one check to the RM, I presume, right? Or I mean, to the municipality or to town or what have you.
Or to have it on the tax notice that goes out. Like if whatever they want to give back, couldn't they do that? Like where they have the rebate, if they put that on that notice that you're getting that much back.
Well, it's just the same as right now you get the 700 education tax credit. That education tax credit is being reduced to $500. And then this 25% rebate check is going to the property owner. We'll just increase the education tax credit on the property tax bill to $800, like whatever is equal to the 5 and the 25%. Apply it all as a credit.
Do you have any idea why they chose this method of returning that money? Like a credit would only made so much sense.
When we met with the province last Thursday with municipal relations, they thought that was the easiest way to do it. They wanted to get money back in the hands of the ratepayers.
I myself would feel like the province wants to mail out checks. That they like people getting a check from them and it's money in their pocket. Because sometimes if we just get money taken off and put back, like on a tax paper, we don't think of it as getting money back. Whereas if they are trying to make a good impression with this, people will remember getting a check in the mail. That's maybe a cynical view of it, but that's what I tend to think.
And if it's truly to offset education taxes, then yeah, why is it just not being a credit? The money coming directly to us to forward on to the school board. Like right now, what they do is they actually send a large part of the credits directly to the school board on our behalf. Which was, because that's offsetting the amount, that 1.4 million we have to pay the school board. And then the rest we collect through the process of tax collection. So this way people are getting that education tax in their pocket. And we're still paying the bill, but maybe not getting, you hope a lot of people obviously are going to pay their taxes. We're kind of making it sound bad, but there's still, it just doesn't, it's not a lot of rationale. It's disappointing. It's just the cost of mailing, literally mailing out all these checks.
Okay, any other questions? I believe we have a motion on the floor. So if there's no more questions, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, I see another gentleman enters the room. So we can turn over, well, I'm going to say
I
gentleman.
don't even know which one it is from.
We're just going to double check to see if Staff Sergeant or Sergeant Fefchuk's here.
Not yet.
No, okay,
So can we go ahead then with 6.3, bill number 37 with Mr. Nixon?
Yeah, here he is. Sure.
Okay, Corey, I'll turn that over to you, please.
So I sent out a little write-up on where Bill 37 currently is. There's some concerns in there, so I just kind of listed them out. I reviewed the actual Bill 37, and then I went through this Bill 37 frequently asked questions that was sent out from the province, or I believe AMM. And I kind of just compared where it's at and where it's going. So this bill will allow for the future establishment of planning regions. That's an important thing. It's gonna take a lot of spaces and put them into, it's like gigantic amalgamations, right? So in making a planning region, it actually allows the minister or just 2 or more municipalities to put forth a proposal for a planning region. There's a few regulations or a few requirements, I guess, not regulations, requirements that have to be met to propose a planning region. But so for example, say the city of Brandon wanted to make a planning region and they decided that it was in their best interest to include us. If the city of Brandon and the Arm of Whitehead, their neighboring municipality there, or maybe
I think it's Whitehead.
yeah,
Whitehead?
Whitehead, yeah.
no, Cornwallis. But if those 2 municipalities want to make a planning region that included the town of Verdon and our surrounding area, we would then have to decide what we want on that. And if we didn't like it, we would have to oppose it and prove why we shouldn't be in there. we don't even get a choice to start with if they elect to put us in a planning region. So once someone proposes a planning region, if the minister likes the idea, they put it forth to the municipal board. The municipal board will hold some public hearings, I believe 2 of them at a minimum. And then the decision on whether it's going to become a planning region or not is left up to the municipal board. So they do have to consult every municipality proposed within that region prior to the public hearings. But it doesn't leave any options in there for a municipality to say they don't want to be involved. So some of the requirements for a planning region is there must be one area of sufficient population density. It leaves this very vague. It doesn't state any size restrictions other than they must be contiguous municipalities. So they all have to be in a group together. You can't skip spaces. So for example, the proposed capital region is Winnipeg, the city, plus 18 other municipalities and towns. It's 107 kilometers wide. So the problem with the planning region is 107 kilometers from here, we have very little interest in their development. It's very far away. And then each member municipality only gets 1 representative on the board. So if you get lumped in with 17 other municipalities, you have a 1 in 17 say, I guess. So this is gonna, obviously, if this did happen, it would cost us time and money. And it kind of seems designed, if you read through it, basically it creates an avenue for larger centers to plan into the surrounding areas. And it says right in it, it's to promote pushing development requiring major infrastructure towards the largest centers already. So that raises a few flags when I read through that going, it sounds like they're gonna try to push development away from littler areas and towards major centers. And then, so that's kind of what I reported on planning regions. And then into planning appeals. So this bill takes away council's final decision on zoning bylaws, secondary plans, conditional uses, subdivisions, and development agreements. Currently, right now, if council decides yes or no on those, that decision is final. They will now be appealable to the municipal board. It also requires council, if you do say no to one of those items, you have to provide a written reason for a denial. And it makes council financially responsible for any appeal costs if the municipal board overturns the decision. So providing a written response creates extra work, time and costs. Some municipal board involvement. So this one here, appeals are forwarded to the municipal board. This is made up of individuals who are not elected representatives of this area. They will be judging the decision made by council, our elected officials, and I wrote this in there. It defeats the purpose of electing local officials to make these decisions. We recently had a subdivision applicant appeal. They appealed the provincially required subdivision condition to the municipal board. They waited 426 days in trying to obtain a date for appeal, and they managed to work out the appeal with the provincial department prior to even receiving a date to go to the municipal board. So I'm very hesitant to think that the current municipal board would be capable of handling any more appeals. And then service standard timelines. This bill sets specific timelines. It doesn't affect 90% of our development, but it does affect 10%. Those are just relative numbers. Most of our stuff will be fine. Some of it could become pretty tight. So typically the 10% that it may affect, they're the larger, more involved developments. They have a lot of moving parts and a lot of pieces, a lot of engineering, a lot of design in them. And we need to take some time to properly look at them to make sure they're proper. And then I just included a few examples. So like in rezoning, we had a rezoning a while ago. They wanted to change a commercial place to residential, and it was decided that there was substantial residential in town and not enough commercial to justify the change in a zoning. So if we had to provide a written report on that, we would actually have to do a lot more homework and probably have a land supply analysis ready for anyone who appealed. We would have to show that there was substantial residential and that there was not enough commercial, because that could be then judged down the road. Secondary plans. So in the secondary plan, it was agreed to by two different councils. It's essentially agreement between the town and the RM. It lays out specific goals and regulations to achieve them. If a developer was to appeal a decision that was made to keep in accordance with the secondary plan, this takes that decision-making away from both councils and defeats the vision that was had during the agreement stage for both areas. So like a secondary plan is a document that was built for the future vision of the area and how we can work together with our neighbors. So if we can now appeal that, now you're taking two sets of councils and you're taking the say away from what they had envisioned. Same with conditional uses. If someone was to appeal a conditional use, say council didn't want it, and they appeal it and someone reviews it and they decide that it could be placed there. And let's say the decision not to put it there was because local people objected, didn't like it, and it was overturned, then now you have a community with a use that's not wanted and a bunch of upset people living here. Subdivision appeals. So currently council can say no to subdivision before anything happens. And so if council says no to this and someone appeals it and they get it to go through, it's just going to be a fight basically throughout the entire process, right down to opening the door of the building, right? Because no one's going to be happy. It's going to be an unwanted for the area. And then development agreements, they're made between two parties to come to an agreement. If there's an appeal process in an agreement, I wrote in there, I think it defeats the purpose of coming to an agreement. So right now, a development agreement between a applicant and council is when we need to come to terms on something. And so now if an applicant doesn't like the terms the council's proposing, they can appeal that. So this bill has potential to cost us a lot of extra time in processing. It removes a lot of council's final say on development, and it places penalized timelines to do the work in. It also opens up the potential to be lumped into a group of municipalities that we don't have development interests with. And there are concerns that new regulations will create a whole new avenue for applicants to get told no to just throw out an appeal. It doesn't cost time or money to appeal. I think we charge $50 right now for an appeal. Maybe to the municipal board there's more, but to the time to put an appeal application out there, there's always a chance that someone else is going to look at it different and turn it over. So there's concerns that it's just going to open up an avenue for everyone who gets told no to go, well, I'm not done yet, and we're going to see how far we can push this. It's going to cost a lot of time and work. It's kind of my report.
Yeah.
I don't think I can see.
Okay, go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, and just further to what Corey was saying, last night, unfortunately, we already had a meeting, but they were presenting at the legislature in regards to this bill last night, and both Cam Blight, president of AMM, and Dwayne Nickel, vice president of MMAA, presented in regards to this bill. And, you know, pretty much everything Corey hit was bang on to what we did here. We did have it playing in the background, like for Dwayne Nickel, City of Selkirk. Of course, their biggest concern is being put into the capital region with little say, you know, just being lumped into that large group. But of course, all these other items that Cam pointed out and taking away the decision making from the local level. This is why you guys were voted in. It was to make decisions regarding your municipalities, and now this totally takes away your decision-making power. If somebody chooses to appeal. That was one of his biggest, concerns. But also a lot of the timeframes involved as well, and the extra money, because it could become very costly to a municipality should there be appeals, and should you have to start supplying some of this information, doing additional studies, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Can I get some opinions of what you people think about this? I know what my opinion is, but I want to hear what yours would be, please.
I don't know. I don't know if you can see me, Murray. I have something.
Go ahead, dear.
Oh, yeah.
When I hear Corey talk about like the Winnipeg and then the 17 municipalities and stuff like this, part of the concern I have, because we don't know what kind of group we've end up in, but is either that something we want here or something we don't want here. I worry it could become one group of municipalities ganging up against somebody else. Like, we don't want that development, but we can vote to put it where you are, or we want it, so we can vote that you don't get it. Because that's kind of what I see Winnipeg and 17 municipalities being like, that there's way too many ways that development can get pushed on municipalities that don't want it or taken away from others. I think it's just taking, I think those are local decisions that need to be made locally. I don't like the bill.
I'm just wondering what the benefit is regarding what the province wants to do. I don't quite understand why the province wants to take control of what's happening in the communities and the municipalities, because I can see this, and I won't swear, but I can see this becoming a bit of a, what kind of a show. To take away development in the local communities and municipalities to put into cities where a entrepreneur wants to do something in a town and is told he can't, but he can do it in a big city. That's kind of leaning towards the other side of the world where they have those big hats. So I'm just a little concerned that I don't understand the province's thinking of how this is going to be better for everybody involved.
I don't think it's a concern for myself. I don't think it's a concern for everyone involved. I think they're having huge issues between Winnipeg and its surrounding municipalities, and this is how they see they're going to fix it. But they need to hoist it on the whole province to make it happen instead of just fixing where the problem is. Because
Right.
Winnipeg and its rural neighbors aren't knowing to get along. And I think that we're the ones that are going to suffer for it.
Councillor Penner.
Yeah, I agree with Tina there. I think this appears to be a document mostly to address the areas around the city of Winnipeg. I agree with Corey on a lot of things that if indeed the city of Brandon could take and chain together RMs and somehow get us tied into their development over there, that would be not good for us. But at the same time, I don't think that's the intent of this of this bill. Actually, it's again to address around the city of Winnipeg, I presume. There's some parts of it as a developer that I don't mind seeing, and the fact that it is appealable. Too many developments over time that I've been witness to have been dealt with on the basis of emotion rather than common sense, and often, a loud, noisy crowd of a few people can swing a decision because there's just not enough people that are supporting the positive side of development. And but at the same time, there's a lot of concerns. I mean, the fact that the municipal board isn't being able to handle the business they have today, it seems, is not good. Like, to add a bunch of appeals to their list, I would think it would be a 5 or 10 year process from what I've seen. And but I presume they're going to fix some of those things. I would think, but the accountability side of it, having to provide written decisions, I think is a good thing. It's a good practice for both sides, because instead of doing it with emotion, you actually have to do it with common sense. And then there's the opportunity for a third party to actually take a look at it and make a decision. An uninterested third party is what I would like to see. And then they make a decision on it based on, again, on common sense. The fact that we might be able to appeal some of the government department roadblocks that they throw up, especially Manitoba Infrastructure. I mean, they throw up a roadblock on almost every development that I've seen in this area, at least. If it would help to overcome some of those roadblocks, would be helpful. But so I see some good parts here. There's probably a lot of bad ones, but I think they're more focused around the city of Winnipeg. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to comment?
Will it
Corey?
allow
Yeah,
appeals?
sorry, go ahead.
Will it allow for appeals against government decisions? I didn't catch that.
Appeals against their timelines. So these timelines would apply to their decisions too.
Oh, you can
For
appeal,
hearing to the municipal board. So if they go past that, you can appeal that.
but you can't appeal if MI makes a decision. You can't appeal their decision, or can you?
That, the only thing that becomes appealable here is zoning bylaws, secondary plans, conditional use, and
Okay,
subdivision
right.
development agreements.
So provincial decisions, comments are, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could.
So Corey, can you, in your crystal ball, can you see this all happening? Not that I want to put you on the spot or anything, but
I mean, I was on another town hall the other day about a different branch of government, a bill they're announcing to turn other things into regions as well. So in my crystal ball, I see them devising a bunch of regions for the province that they want to push.
Mhm.
Amalgamation, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I'm not trying to say it, but it's, they're aligning the schools, they're aligning planning. What's next?
mhm. Is there anything that, go ahead, Councilor Gardner.
Yeah, I look at this as another form of government decentralization. If you look at the 13-member group that they have, there isn't one that isn't from the city. They're all within the city limits. Every one of those directors that help form this. So that just gives you an indication of, like Travis said, it's for the city.
The thing is there anything that the municipalities ourselves can do to alter this or make it a fair playing field?
AMM is still encouraging you. I've forwarded a number of bulletins from them, and they're still encouraging municipalities to continue to write letters to the province indicating those items that you are concerned about.
Okay, so is that something that we should be doing then, I'm assuming?
Is the Honorable Wallace doing another one?
I actually honestly don't know. I haven't been informed.
We did send one with the original bill some time ago, if you recall, and now this is the amendment to that bill. There's still certain aspects of this that are of concern. So if you do wish, I guess, direct me to draft up a letter and share it all with you. Maybe I could get Mr. Nixon to help me with it.
Can I get somebody, would somebody like to make a motion that we do send a letter of concern to this amendment? Councillor Cowan, seconder on this, please. Councillor Gardner. Does anybody else got any more concerns? I agree with Councillor Penner on some of the aspects. I can see some good points there because he's a lot more knowledgeable on this than a lot of us are. But my concern is that it's province-wide, not like Councillor Gardner said, where there's 13 people from the city of Winnipeg controlling the whole thing. So if now there is no more questions, I'll ask the question: would everybody be in favor of getting a letter drafted up and sent to them? Would anybody be opposed to that? Well, we have 4 for and 3 not doing anything, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the vote.
Okay, sorry, now we got 6 from 1. Carl, where are you at on this, buddy?
We're gonna get a chance to review the draft, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carl, are you in favor of this?
I am.
Attaboy, thank you. Okay, she's 7-0 then, go ahead. All right, thank you. That's a bill that I'm sure is gonna concern not just us as council, but every taxpayer in the province.
Yeah.
I see our staff sergeant hasn't shown up, so I'm assuming he's not gonna make it tonight.
No, I've been checking for him. He's not here.
Okay, great. We have the literature in front of us, which we can all go through at our given times and see what's happening. So unless he shows up in the next hour, we will continue on. Rhonda, would you like to look after 6.4, the AMM directors elections? I'm assuming
Received notice from AMM regarding the district elections for the board positions. This is second notice to the memberships that during the virtual 2021 June district meetings, they will be having elections for the AMM board of directors in all 7 districts. Each district is entitled to 7 directors per district. Nominations open May 3rd. Only elected officials, municipal officials are authorized to nominate a candidate. Any elected official, mayor, Reed, councillor is eligible to be nominated. The elected official will serve on the board until June of 2023. All of the information, nomination forms are available online here, and deadline for nominations is June 2nd, 3 o'clock. So just if any of you are at all interested in running for AMM district director for the Western District, or know of anyone in your neighboring municipalities who might be interested and you might want to encourage. Currently, our district directors are Stu and Rhonda Copeland. Correct. Stu Homestead and Rhonda Copeland. Homestead.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. If there's nothing else regarding that, anybody want to put their name in for anything like that, you can let Rhonda know or one of the staff. Number 7, the appointments to Manitoba Libraries Association. You have a letter there, but I will let Rhonda handle this one as well, please.
I just wanted to bring everybody up to date on the Manitoba Library Association appointment of Councillor Mark Humphreys from the RM of Wallace Woodworth. They have passed a resolution at the RM of Wallace Woodworth authorizing him to sit as a representative on that association on behalf of the Border Regional Library Board. And council is prepared to pay for their share of the meeting expenses shared with the town of Burton. The reason that they're saying with the town of Burton only is because the RM of Ellis Archie declined to participate in this and felt that the money should be coming out of the library budget. As I had explained to them that was a lot of your feelings as well, but had agreed to, you'd seen the benefit. So Trish is actually, the CAO for the arm of Ellis Archie is actually taking that information back to her council again and, you know, advising that for this year, both Town of Vernon and Arm of Wallace Woodworth are cost sharing, encouraging them to participate. But Wallace Woodworth would like to see the library include those costs in their annual budget. So that will be a discussion at the library board level.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions regarding that? Okay, hearing none, we will move along to number 8, Code of Conduct.
When we put this on the agenda on Friday, we had 4 councillors who had not did the code of conduct, but since then, sorry, a mayor and 3 councillors. Since then, our mayor and 1 other councillor has completed.
It's me, I haven't done it.
Our deputy mayor has it, so this is a reminder. And also Councillor Manchinsky, but he will be coming to the office tomorrow and coming and enjoying our lovely spacious area.
Well, now I have to do it tomorrow because I have to beat Carl and not be last.
So yeah, so I believe we have everyone lined up because this is to be done by May 1st. I would hate to have to report to you guys for not having it done. So yes, that's what's happening with the code of conduct.
Okay, great, thank you. I noticed on the agenda tonight, I was going to mention it before there's no committee reports. Whether that was for,
No motion.
whether we can postpone it till the next one, that's entirely up to what you people would like to do.
I'm sure you could probably just throw it in.
I
Okay.
wouldn't be opposed to us throwing it on the agenda.
Okay, let's throw 8.5 then as committee reports. And we will start off with Councillor Penner, please.
Okay, sorry, I hadn't prepared my report, but we're going back to what, the 6th?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, just bear with me. So had a library meeting on the 7th. Planning and finance, I think we had the on the, what was it, the 13th?
Yes.
We had, I didn't attend the special meeting. I did attend the Fort LaBosse meeting yesterday, and it was good to get their opinion on Bill 64, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
And that, by the way, that report is on their website if anybody else wants to see it. And I think that's all I've got, Murray.
Okay, great, thank you. Councillor Cowan.
Oh, I'm just pulling up my schedule here. Sorry, I had to use the bathroom. I had an HR meeting last night and a planning and finance the week before. I think that's it. So yeah, and our fire meeting was canceled due to nothing on the agenda. So
Great.
that's all I have.
And
So
I think the
Murray, I
AMM
could
as well.
Yeah, I could just add the AMM on there. I didn't have all the individual sessions on there.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Yeah, I had the planning and finance on the 13th and the special council meeting on the 13th as well. Had the 3 days of the AMM. First session started off pretty dry. I thought, well, this is going to be a waste of time. But as they further got into it every day, it was a lot better. I enjoyed the speakers that were there. other than the very first session in the morning on the 14th. Had a fire board meeting canceled and then tonight's meeting.
Great, thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Wright.
It was quiet on my end. I actually missed all of AMM. We got really busy at work and I missed the special meetings last week, so I kind of suck.
That's all right. We'll make up for it next week. Councillor Mashinsky.
Oh, just a minute, Carl, you're on mute. There, you're good. There, you're good.
Okay. We've started to hire for our summertime staff for the museum. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have them all hired. Everything's going good there. Other than that, there's not much going on.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Williams.
I think I had meetings everybody else did, PNF, HR. I attended the noon hour Fort Boss one too, and I thought they got a lot in that half-hour slot that they said they wanted to before everybody went back to work at 1. That online Fort Boss, I thought it was a really good meeting. I had an ARBI meeting, and I attended all the AMM sessions. I know more about gravel roads and weeds than I did before. That one was probably my driest. I know Councillor Cowan and I talked about the cyber liability one. That's a little scary, how good and bad guys get into your system and all the money it can cost you. And yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Stewart.
Utilities Manager Rutledge and myself met with Gavin Vanderlyn to discuss our Partners for Climate Protection policies and our program, because we haven't revisited that for a number of years. So we went through a number of items and talking about how realizing that we actually do have a lot more green initiatives going on than what we you think that we do, but it's something that we do need to work on, and we do have our report that we have to complete and get back into FCM in that regards. Also met with CAO Mitchell, Assistant CAO. Thank you. And Development Officer Nixon to review his contract because it's up for renewal this year. We had social media training that week as well. Public Works foreman and myself met with Profile to discuss their patching crack sealing program. It was a really good meeting. They said they will be out starting crack sealing as soon as the weather permits. We did not have the site meeting. I did not attend the site meeting. And then, of course, I attended Mayor's Reads and CAOs with Mayor Wright online. And unfortunately, some of the MOS items seminars I was unable to attend. Was helping public health get the testing site arranged for in our building. So it always seemed to fall right when those seminars were on, when she was attending on site or on the phone. There are on lines, I believe, Parks and Recs Manager Howard, her report, and also EDM Park. Their reports are both on AllNet if you wish to look at them. We did have the municipal relations calls again every Thursday. They are going quite a bit longer, and mostly because of some of the new education tax rebate. That's one of our biggest discussions that we've been having. And that is about all. Or does anyone have any questions about anything going on that you'd like to discuss?
Councillor Penner?
Have we set a new date for the presentation of the financial plan?
Yes, it's May 4th.
Pardon me?
May 4th?
May 4th? Okay.
Yeah, it will be, I'm sorry, not May, yes, May 4th.
Six.
May 4th, Tuesday, May 4th, financial plan hearing is at 6:30, council's at 7:30. And there will be accommodations for people to attend in person and also virtually. A number of the municipalities have backed, like in this area, have backed up their financial plan hearings. If you notice, they're in May. Then Wallace Woodworth are actually going to have theirs at Tundra Oil Gas Place as well on the 6th. So we're going to hopefully get everything set up so that we can, we can have a good virtual meeting for anybody who wishes to join online.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of Rhonda? Okay, for myself, basically, all of what you people have said, AMM, special meetings, Port LaBosse, the AMM, I thought were good. Like Grant said, the first one was a little dry. Port LaBosse was actually very good. They're quite concerned in that division. So I hope things work out for the best, and I'm going to meeting with Mr. Draper here the next week to discuss some things that maybe we can help out again with. Other than that, that's about, and meetings with Rhonda and Tino over other various things. So committee reports having been done, can I get a motion from someone so we can move into in camera, please? Councillor Gardner, Councillor Wright, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we are now back into council, and we have a motion or a action, and I will let the deputy mayor present this to council, please.
Okay, the executive committee recommends to council that the 2021 wages for out of scope staff for the town of Virden be approved as presented by the chief administrative officer, and I would make that motion.
And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cowan. Is there any more discussion on this motion at this time? Seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried, 7-0, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Okay. If there is nothing else tonight, I will get someone to make, or is there anything anybody wanted to bring up before we close? Okay, I will get someone to make a motion that we adjourn, please. Councillor Cowan, Councillor Mashinsky, second. All in favor? Carried. Thank you all very much.
Murray, can you just hang on before?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
You want to stop the recording?
Oh, stop the recording. Thank you.